Right now we're going to talk about the mid-range and some pointers that can help you in your mid-range game. Right, so I'm going to talk about ways that you can create space, right, with your feet, right, elevation, where the ball comes off. Those things are going to help you in your mid-range. Now, right, a lot of people say that the mid-range is dead. And if I can shoot an open three, if I can get all the way to the rim, right, that's fine. But what we're seeing with basketball, right, and a lot of the problems with basketball right now is that we're not shooting open threes, we're shooting contested threes, right? So we're shooting threes because we're told to shoot threes. Doesn't mean it's a good shot. So what we're seeing is a lot of contested threes all through basketball, NBA all the way down, right? And that's what where your misses are coming from. The other thing we're seeing is we want to be able to get all the way to the rim, all the way to the rim. And what's happening at the rim is everything is contested at the rim. If I can get to the rim, float or little floaters in the lane, right, stuff like that, that's fine. But we don't want to just get there because we're told, right? Basketball is a game of flow. It's a game of rhythm, right? So we don't want to take away one of the biggest parts in the game. Now, with that being said, if you don't work on the mid-range game, don't shoot the mid-range, okay? So the mid-range should be an added-on thing. If I can get to the mid-range and be wide open, right, it's almost to the great players like a layup. So we want your mid-range to be like a layup to you. So a couple things we're going to talk about right now, right? What we do a lot is we'll start at the elbow, right? And for our younger players, right, we always are telling, hey, get squared, right, shoot the ball up. A lot of them are going to shoot here. So a lot of younger players, your first graders, all the way probably through 6th, 7th grade, right, really don't have the characteristics or the strength to have a really good mid-range. What we do is more in the high school, right, as they get to high school, we start teaching these points of the mid-range. When they start to get stronger, they start to go into their body, they can start to jump a little bit higher, right? So when we're teaching our young kids, we have them shoot, right, to work on their jump shot from these areas, but it's not really a mid-range, right, type of shot that we're going to talk about right now. So the mid-range shot that I'm talking about right now is maybe somebody's on my hip, right, I'm going to a spot, right? So as I drive right now, there's a couple ways to create space, right? The first is the angle of your feet, right? So if I go here, I have a defender on my hip, right, and I go right foot, okay, and then I bring my left all the way around, right? All coaches say square, square, square. That's not entirely true in the mid-range, right? So as I go here, right, and my defender's there, if I square, look at where that ball is, right? It's always defender, right, basketball, right, body, right? So right now, that's the concept, defender, basketball, body. We want, as much as possible, defender, body, ball at all times. So as you pull up, we talk about, right, having some people call it transition fade, right, angled stop. We want to stop our foot early. So a lot of smaller guards, you see Chris Paul made a killing off of it, getting right to this elbow. And if you watch him, it always stops early, right? And that's because he's going to create more space being here, right, than being here. So if you look at that distance, right, that's between getting a shot off, right, and getting it blocked, or having an open shot that you work on and having a shot be contested, okay? So we always work with our players on a lot of angled, right, different footwork where they know that they're going to get that shot off. They've practiced it a ton of times. So angled stops. The second thing is when you shoot a three, okay, so if I'm back here, right, when that ball leaves my hand, right, or where I push the ball up, right, and shoot it from is going to be different from the three than in the mid-range. In the mid-range, right, I want to have the ball, right, I want to work on it being higher. If you watch the best players in the world, they always had those high release points. Some players, right, as they get in the NBA and overseas, or pros, or even really good college players, they start doing that, right, from the three to come off pin downs or certain things like that, right? But a lot of times, if I'm open, it's going to be a different release point from the three to the midi, right? So as I get up in the mid-range, I want a higher release point, right? A couple reasons why. One, right, is now, right, I become a taller basketball player. So instead of, right, like we talked about with little kids, they're all gonna try to shoot it from here because they need the strength, right? Here's my release point to now, right, I'm here. So if we talk about the angle, then we talk about, right, where we release the ball, those little things will allow you to get that shot off. And as a basketball player, right, I gotta know spots I can get to, right, and shots I can get off, okay? The third thing in the mid-range is your pickups, okay? So if I'm driving and I got a defender here, right, I can't bring the ball to the inside hip to then lift it to that point, okay? So I gotta have these little loop pickups. So from my pockets, right, I gotta be able to go get the ball, right, and I gotta bring the ball to that release point over the top, right? That you need to practice a lot. So if you go and watch Chris Paul and when he goes right, how he picks the ball up, it's always from this point to where now he's getting it here, right? And then the next part is trying to jump, right, elevate and square in the air. So, right, if you're watching this video, I suggest after, go look at some of Chris Paul's mid-range and you'll see everything that we're talking about. The last part is gonna be elevation. So again, right, I'm different from three, for the most part, right, catch and shoot, than I will be in the mid-range. I wanna try to elevate as high as I can, right? So I'm not gonna be able to, the best mid-range players you see, right, none of them shoot the ball like this, right? Even the KDs who's 7 feet tall, right, he elevates. So KD becomes, I mean, upwards of 10 feet when he shoots that ball because he's jumping, right? He's got that release point up, and that's why he's a mid-range killer, because he's tall, he can get to his spots, he knows he can get that shot off at any point. So the ability to elevate, right, in the mid-range game, right, is key. So we'll go back through it, right? Angled feet, that's gonna create more space, right? Now, not saying if, like, I'm here, I get a wide open midi, I can't square. We're not saying that. That's the defenders are on your hip, right? That's a key to getting it there. Release point. Try to work on getting the ball up, okay? So I want to have a higher release point in my shot, right? That's going to make me taller, right? I want to be able to pick the ball up over the top of defenders, right? The next part is your pickups, right? Work on picking the ball up from different spots, right? And having different pickups into the release point, right? From your right hip, over the top, all those things, right? If you watch Kobe and Jordan, they did that a lot, right? As soon as I bring the ball back to that defender, right, they're looking to strip. And then the last part is elevation, right? Try to jump as high as you can and work on elevating over the top of defenders, right? Those four things are gonna help your mid-range right away.